let's get going. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 707. Anime dubs aren't cringe. Anime is. Okay, that's a tall order. I think I could speak for everyone listening, or everyone on the panel at least, that there's plenty of arguments to go against that. And anyone who's watched anime in both the subs and the dubs of the same anime, you can compare the lip syncing with certain English, for example, against Japanese words like good morning, that's the syllables. Then we have the pronunciation in Japanese, ohayo gozaimasu. So there's more lips action happening. It's not going to make too much sense. You have to say it a certain way at a certain pace to make it match the lip movements on the screen, depending on how animated the lip movements on the screen are. We're not talking about Pokemon animation where the lips are just 2 frames. We're talking about, like, I don't know, Cowboy Bebop, where there's a lot more going on. There's also the complexity of words of the Japanese language. So big words like good morning, how complex that word is, as well as the phrases of Japanese terms. So if someone has a big speech about philosophy, like idioms, like it's raining cats and dogs, there might not be an exact translation for that in another language. So that's the basic stuff. There's other things like tone, but that's usually up to the director of the voice actors of how to complain or how to say something with emotion or enunciation. The rest is all technical stuff like the skill of the actor, the quality of the recording tools. That's usually not a problem these days, although sometimes you can hear that the voice actor is using their own equipment, or they're calling it in literally, or there's some static or whatever, but that's pretty rare. So I don't think there's an inherent problem with stories from Japan or Japanese anime, whether they're for kids, whether for adults, whether they're literal porn or young adults. You can make anything work. Like, I read the isekai genre, which is primarily children's stories or young adults. And yes, there are some bad ones, but I don't read those. So those do not get made into anime because they're not very popular. The good ones have mature settings with people saying clever things written by good authors. So it's not just, hey, this thing's popular. More often than not, yes.
You also get that, but
sometimes you get really dumb authors and you can't believe that this thing is on the air, but only lasts 1 season. So it really depends on the popularity of a thing, whether the anime company can make, or the publishing company can make money off it from sponsors or whoever they set that scheme up for the station they're broadcasting to, and who's licensing it. So yes, there are bad anime out there that do not sound good inherently. And it's hard to find because we usually watch the good stuff. That's why we watch anime. It's good. So if someone could point me in the direction of a bad anime that did get translated, that'd be great. And we could say, hey, you're right. This bad anime has a bad translation, not because the actors were bad or the director was bad, but because the dialogue was actually crap. So
Isekai Cheat Magician is just bad.
Attack on Titan, like, come on, it's right on the screen.
Yeah.
The ending is, come on.
Yeah. Is it over?
Of course, it's been years now.
Oh, the final season is happening.
Well, the anime, but the manga has been over for 2 years. So about 2 years, yeah.
Okay. So the summer season will soon be free of it as well.
I don't know. I haven't watched Attack on Titan for almost a decade. Yeah.
Yeah, the summer
it means
season,
there'll be room for making something that's not that.
No,
that's what I mean.
The season's almost over. So
all I've been watching is Gundam for the past month and a half. So I don't really care about the current season.
How many? If you watch one episode of Gundam a day, how many years of your life can you watch Gundam?
I don't know. I never cared about it. It's too good not to binge it.
Okay. My first problem is with the title here. It seems nonsensical. He says anime dubs aren't cringe. Anime is. The best interpretation of it is that don't fuss about the dubs because they're irrelevant, because the base product is already shit. But that's a bad way of trying to salvage the bad dubs.
Yeah, and it's very specific to a show as opposed to a genre. You can't just say all shonen is bad, or all adult is bad, or all of a certain genre is bad. It has to be this show with this dub is bad. Like the German dub of, I don't know, Mass Effect, or pick a video game which is really popular.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, God.
The French is amazing. I don't know if you guys heard the French Mass Effects.
No.
Oh.
Why would I listen to French?
It's great.
The French translation of Dragon Ball.
Oh, yeah?
But just when you bring up the German dub of Mass Effect, I get flashbacks. It's horrible.
Guys, go on YouTube and find it. It's amazing. Just...
The pipe. You have to search for the pipe. So great.
All right. Anyway, this is 21 and a half minutes from a person we covered before, I think last year, by the name of Nasu. And this is obviously a fan of anime, a fan of video gaming, and a fan of movies. If you watch their other videos, they're very popular. And they seem to be the generic, I am the media fan dude critic person.
If he dislikes anime so much, why does he have a Japanese-esque nickname?
Or a channel that's dedicated to anime.
Maybe he's like an alcoholic and he knows he's an alcoholic and he's like, I hate alcohol, but I keep drinking it. That's his relationship.
So I make another video about alcohol.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have too many videos. Like, he started a year ago. He's got over 150,000 subs, and it's all gaming, media, or gaming, movies, concepts of media, and anime. So it's popular crap. Elden Ring, Devil May Cry.
If you had anime so much, go watch Western cartoons, US cartoons. It's gonna be you're gonna be so much happier, I'm sure.
We will see. Okay, let's get started.
In life, there exist two things that are absolute. The McDonald's ice cream machine.
I will say one thing. Whether it's American, British, or German, they never get the screams right. That is... I think that's a rule of life.
Yes, they do.
Anime fans arguing over the right way to watch anime. English dubbed, or the original Japanese voices with subtitles. It's a war that actually dates back all the way to ancient Greece. In fact, famous philosopher Socrates went on record to say, I watch my anime dubbed. If I wanted to read, then I'd pick up a fucking manga. It didn't take long for word to spread through the city of Athens, and the court sentenced Socrates to death for his wrong opinions, forcing him to ingest poison and giving him ample time to reflect on his heinous crimes against humanity. Many more battles would be fought over the coming years. The blood of dub and sub enjoyers alike would paint the streets of Reddit threads and Twitter reply sections. As anime grew increasingly popular, the feud grew to be more civil, but it still continues to this day. Now it's only discussed by the most refined and sophisticated individuals. Huh? What do I think about it? Have a seat. Let's talk. For the people who started watching anime in the early 2000s, there weren't many options for you to get your fix. Like most kids my age, I was introduced to anime through Toonami, which obviously aired with English dubbing. To youngins back then, anime were just cartoons. This thing is a jelly donut. People go to the Shadow Realm when they die, and Sonic is proud to be an American. By the dawn's early light. The only anime we had access to in the States were the ones that Western companies licensed and dubbed for American television. If you wanted to...
By that time, you must have had internet access.
Yeah, I never got Toonami in Canada, so I never watched it. Or that stuff.
Yeah, we didn't get any of that here either.
Yeah.
So
I had Toonami. It was through the British Cartoon Network.
Ooh, fancy. Yeah, we had.
I remember watching Looney Tunes on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I watched. There was.
Yeah, it's as the late night things that they were doing. So like after the regular program that the Cartoon Network had, then they had Toonami.
Oh,
And
really?
then
And much later than that, then they had Adult Swim.
and then Cartoon Network. What was it called? Encoded their image stream, the image signal, the video signal. So I didn't watch it anymore. Back to German.
All right.
It's just like the Berlin Wall.
Through that filter, then you
Yeah.
had to get your hands dirty. Now, I never
Same with
dabbled in
NHK.
torrenting. I was too scared to download a virus onto the dusty-ass family computer. But I never really had to, because in the late 2000s, anime streaming services started to pop up. Just take your pick of countless different, definitely not illegal websites, and immediately gain access to hundreds or even thousands of new anime. This introduced me to shows that I never would have seen otherwise. Shows that never aired outside of Japan, and thus had no English dub. For major series like Naruto and One Piece, I continued to watch them in English on TV until I noticed a discrepancy. Why is the newest episode of Naruto on Toonami 50 episodes behind this random website? And then I realized it. Anime comes from Japan. Dubbing takes time. If I just watch it in Japanese, I unlock dozens of new episodes.
You were
and
the
can
fast
actually
kid in
catch up with the
class,
show.
weren't you?
From that point,
So you're saying subtitles are faster, and dubbing takes a lot more time and money and resources to accomplish and do it well. So if that's the case, maybe it's not the Japanese anime that's the problem. Maybe it's the dubbing company.
You just want to get your fix, then you'll go for the sub. Or you learn Japanese, then you don't even need to wait for the sub, which is by now, I think, about an hour after airing or something.
That's a good
It
point.
has always been that fast, yeah, like a day at most.
Yeah, there's lots of, like, over the years, we've always picked up on words that people say in Japanese anime or otherwise, and we see the subtitle, and we're like, oh, that's not the exact literal translation of what they're saying. It's kind of like a Japanification, the same way they have Romanification of the Roman or English words. It's the same idea. And you're like, oh, okay, I get what the sub is saying, but I know what they're saying over in a like moshi mosh, like or hello, like it's not good morning. That's an entirely specific word. It's hello, like when you answer the phone. They have their own way of answering the phone in Japan. So, God, that was really cringy in Cowboy Bebop when was it Vicious? We answered the phone. You're like, ooh, it doesn't sound,
Moshi Moshi, yes.
does not sound right at all.
Mm.
That's what I mean by bad dubbing, is the guy trying to do something he's not good at, like a Japanese accent. Or like there's bad Japanese examples of a Japanese voice actor trying to be American or sound English. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
So
I remember we had some anime in Germany in the late 90s that had just atrociously bad dubs. They were famous for their bad dubs. And they were not funny bad dubs. They were just so off, it just made you laugh. And on the other hand, we had some that were done really, really well. The whole thing about is our dubs cringe is that, well, it all depends on how well it is done. If you cast bad people, if you have bad direction, if you have bad translation, then yes, it is cringe. Maybe it is B-movie type fun that you watch with your friends and laugh about, but you're not actually watching the thing as it was intended by the creator. And people who prefer subs simply want to avoid the risk.
right, and some of that design is by design. If you look at the famous one is by Steins Gate, where the Japanese guy tries to sound like an American, and there's the dub version, which is not as funny, obviously, but you compare the two, and you're like, it kind of defeats the purpose of wanting to go to dub because it's so good, the joke is lost on the dub. So there's certain things you cannot translate, like a Japanese fellow trying to be an American. So that's the nature of dubbing. It loses something in translation. It has to, unfortunately. But
Yeah, that's an extreme example.
yeah, that's a good
But
example of
It's
them
a good example
writing
because
it
it is
that
so
way.
extreme.
Yeah.
Because it plays with language.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because you lose all that nuance. And that's kind of why I like the dub by virtue of it being the original. Because, this is the way the director wanted it to be heard, as corny as it might be. But that is the funny thing. That's the comedy. And the director got that because I'm sure he and others can't pronounce the various nuances of the English pronunciation. And that's fine. That was the joke. So,
Baumkuchen.
especially German. Anyway.
Going on TV, put on my straw hat and became a full-time pirate. Toonami was doing its thing, but the fan subbers were putting up LeBron numbers. The sheer breadth of content that became available to you by watching subbed was simply outmatched, so I started watching all my anime in Japanese. And that's the story for a lot of anime fans. Started out as dub watchers, but jumped to subbed so they can further immerse themselves in the medium. This is less so the case for people who got into anime more recently. With the international success of shows like Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia, there came a much greater precedent to make anime more easily accessible outside of Japan. Legit streaming services like Funimation, Verve, and Crunchyroll.
That's just for the modern stuff. I mentioned a few times that all over Europe and in Canada, there were commissioned cartoons that were actually animes from Japan. And technically, the US Cartoon Galaxy Rangers is also an anime. Just that the script and the what's it called? The storyboard, everything was sent to Japan. They animated scenes and they cut them together and made the original dub. What do you even call that? In the US, and you can see that it looks a lot hacked together, and you see the American writing style in it, and that's where
but that's
the English is the original.
But that's commission work that was done by Japanese, and it was not a Japanese cartoon made for Japanese people. That was later bought by a external company.
But the entire animation style is it looks like an anime. And
but that's not the point.
And all the things that were commissioned in Europe, they also had the writing done by the Japanese. And they seem more consistent overall. But we just didn't realize it was technically speaking anime. I don't know what went on in the United States in that regard, but technically we always had anime.
Well, I could think of anime that we had that was really corny, like the Speed Racer dubs. Those are
Yes, but they are so good.
they're so bad that it's just you got to watch them. They're just it's hilarious.
Sense.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's not what you wanted, or not what the director probably wanted, but the same concept with The Room. It's so bad, it's good. You gotta watch it all.
Yeah.
Websites sucked, but they were legit and more importantly convenient.
He gets it wrong though, because like Crunchyroll used to be a pirate website.
Turn fucking traitors.
Yeah. But
absolutely.
everyone regards it as a legit website now.
Not just
I don't know.
traitors, but scammers.
And it's like one of the worst places to have subbed anime because the translations are garbage. They always ask like someone who barely speaks Japanese or does like a meaningful edits to tone down the anime.
Same with Japan. Almost every new anime had a dub. We even got an anime that aired here before it did in Japan. At this point, it was entirely practical to be a seasonal anime fan only watching dubs. Yet so many English speakers still stuck to reading subtitles. Why? The common belief seems to be that the Japanese voice actors are just better. Their casting and delivery is always on point.
Yes, they are.
Perfectly capture the very...
There's just so many dubs. Like I had like debates with the Bears about this, about the 97 Berserk dub. that like okay, like the main characters are really good. Like they are excellent choices, like Guts, Griffith, and Casca. But like every secondary character, almost all of them are just. It sounds like they just got a guy off the streets to voice a character, and it just shows.
Well, I mean, Mike Pollock as Don was on it.
Oh, like a few of them, but like they are just like some episodic characters. But I can't remember. Like I think like Judo's was like horribly miscast because like he just like didn't feel anything. He felt like an empty shell of a man. I just think like Japanese voice actors are maybe paid better, or they just like have a more dedication to the role itself.
They still
even if
practice
it's just like some side character that they have to do.
They still practice it as an art form, as an acting profession that requires actual training and knowledge and study in a way.
Yeah, well,
as it
they are
was
less
in- as it
easygoing
was-
as well.
Yeah, but as it was in Germany until the late 90s. Then it went nosedive here too. It was just quick, get the next guy, get it cheap, get the first take, and well,
Well, it also
Everything
depends,
can be traced back to the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Well, it depends on how talented the actor is. Like if you can get Jennifer Hale in a room, she can give you at least 4 or 5 different voices. And
oh sure, there are some absolute exceptions, but overall, it doesn't seem to be taken as seriously, especially when they take Hollywood screen actors. Some of them can pull it off because they understand that they're not acting with their bodies and faces anymore, but solely with their voice. They have to carry everything with their voices, and many of these people don't seem to understand that.
all right.
Character and put in significantly more emotion and effort in their performances than their English counterparts. I think that's a load of bullshit.
Well, that's interesting because we always tend to talk about the Japanese language being very subdued and straight, like not monotone, but you know, it's like the tone of their voice is always like not monotone, but it's always da 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 da. There's a certain, not a limerick style, but it's gentle. It's like a poem. It's very, very delicate.
Is it?
It depends. It depends on the tone of the scene, and
Yeah, exactly. It's I would say it's the same as it would be in English. It's all up to the tone.
that's
itself.
what I mean. When you take the tone from Japanese and put it into English, it's very easy to do. Like saying good morning is the same tone as saying good morning in English. Like the genuflection, not genuflect, the annotation, the beats. Same with Italian. Like I noticed with Japanese and Italian, they also have very similar tones and beats. So, but you're talking about in general, like just talking to someone about any topic, just common. Most people are not going to be like your crazy next door neighbor who's screaming at the top of their lungs, or your crazy old mom who's like, bitching about everything. They're pretty well understood people that don't take things too emotionally, so that you tend to get that vibe from them. They're also very kind at times. If you go there to visit, depending where you go, of course. So yeah, there are some scenes in Japanese anime where it's action-packed, where it's like, oh, okay. They could be a little bit more energetic after they lost their arm or got into a lot of pain. But there's plenty of scenes in manga and anime. It's like, these guys are just the most stoic sons of bitches I've ever seen. They're just standing around, losing body parts, losing friends. It's like, wow, this guy's really not fazed by anything. So if that's a matter of tone, or if that's a matter of the scene, or how the writer wanted it, I'm not sure. But I get that vibe a lot. It's not just from the shows, it's also from the media in general, from the people, the food, the music. There's something just sort of poetic about it. Anyway.
bullshit. Acting is a much more prestigious industry in Japan. They have dedicated schools for voice actors where they undergo rigorous training, and even then, jobs aren't guaranteed. The most successful VAs are celebrities in their own right, whose fame in Japan rivals those of some of Hollywood's finest. The bar for entry is much higher than it is over here. But Japan's high standard doesn't necessarily mean that America has low standards. You know what? Let me put you guys on to some.
This is hilarious. Like, he just had like objective reasons why Japanese voice acting is way higher than the English one.
Didn't he also already say no in the beginning and then brought basically a counter argument?
Weird.
What is he trying to do?
This is like saying, China and Japan, or China and Russia, they have these decade-old schools for ballet and gymnastics and golf and all kinds of other sports, and they dominate the Olympics since they are. But America's pretty good too. It's like, yeah.
I bet he's gonna cherry pick some of the very names you mentioned as, oh look, they're actually good, but there's not the same framework behind that.
Yeah, I mean,
like Gordon Ramsay is a pretty shitty cook. Like, but I can make a steak just as good as him. Anyway, would you like it well done with ketchup?
Oh god,
curry ketchup. The green curry ketchup.
What? What? Oh god.
What?
I don't
green?
Is that green tomatoes? What is? I don't know. I'm scared.
It's a food coloring ketchup for children.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Why would you do that?
Stay in Germany.
Yeah, I hope.
It's sold well for one summer.
Kids don't. Guys, if you have kids, don't give them green ketchup. That's not a good idea. Or ketchup and all. Just forget the ketchup.
Yeah, like, get away from that thing. Have mustard or mayo instead.
Yeah, mayo. Yeah, mayo is fantastic. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
What, with your steak?
Fries.
Fries, yeah.
It's a great.
Mayo with your steak. That's disgusting.
No, there's lots of sauce you could put on steak, and mayonnaise is
like garlic.
Garlic and mayo. Yeah, they could do that.
Yeah.
There's lots of things you do. But sugary steak, very rare. I've seen the chocolate glaze. Believe it or not. Works. It works.
What, on a stick?
On a stick? No, on a steak. Anyway, let's get back to anime.
Here, listen.
Iris! No, this isn't happening. There's no reason for me to go on. What am I fighting for?
Hold on. I got another one. Peep this one.
I mean, that one could have used a little improvement.
A bit of a touch-up.
But then again, I take the Japanese one because it's got Sigma's voice there.
Yeah, but I think, like, ironically enough, I think the only good voice actor in the Mega Man X4 dub was the Sigma's voice actor.
No, I like both the voices.
Oh yeah, that definitely. Like, he had no chance against him. Like, that dude was a veteran actor.
Like, at least he had fun with his fucking role.
Yeah. That was real.
All right, you got me. I'm not the biggest fan of dubs either, but I still reject the idea that all anime is inherently better by being in Japanese. Like, if I...
Well, in those examples it was. Because the dubbing was so bad. There's nothing that has nothing to do with the anime.
I think he's talking from faith. He can't. He just doesn't want to accept reality. He knows what reality is. He inherently feels it, but he rejects the feeling it gives him. So, please indulge in my fantasy so that I can feel like my home country isn't shit.
Yeah, a 14-year-old boy screaming at the top of his lungs about the girl he loves. That could be done a little better in English. Just a bit better. You could do that well. Anyway.
Right now, would it automatically be better if I did it in Japanese? この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。This video is sponsored by Factor.
Uh-oh.
No.
No.
What is fact?
Well, now I don't want to use factor.
Oh, it's food.
What kind of food?
Oh, it's one of those food things.
Oh my god! It's a microwave,
Space food.
Microwave dinner. What are you doing, dude? Don't eat that.
In plastic.
A flexible menu. Yeah, freeze dried, frozen, baked. God knows what that is. Why would you sell that? Why not just sell?
Because nobody can cook anymore.
Why not just sell imported steak from local merchants? Like just buy steak, grass-fed steak. It costs lots of money, but it's good for you. Just buy it.
Yeah, can we have an
Link
app
below
from
and
the
use
chat
code
for the
Nasu
butcher that
your
moved
box.
away
Thank
from
you
my
to
face?
Factor for sponsoring this video.
Oh my god, dude!
Even though I started
It's
out
just-
watching Naruto in English,
That was the worst part of the video. He's selling
That was
microwave
terrible.
dinners.
Yeah.
And I tell like it's gotta be the same food company Shadiversity is advertising, because at least that one is edible.
Your stomach can digest it. That's great.
he has to work his channel up to be HelloFresh eligible.
Oh,
I agree with Ego Dreamer.
They are only selling it to Mormons.
Ego Dreamer, I agree with you. The Vampire Hunter, the Bloodlust dub was great.
well, I have a good food advertisement on my desk, which is a Montreal company, and I did try them, and they are actually very, very good. But I'm not asking for sponsorship. If you're in the Montreal, Quebec, Ontario area, and you want a meal plan that's decent, I mean, that's
Now for $5.99, you will get it to your address.
only in Canada. If you're not in Canada, forget about it. Anyway.
Oh, Canada.
to return to that version of the anime, there's just something about that hits different as opposed to
Fire style! Fireball jutsu!
but I think that has
Well, yeah, they're using the word jutsu in the frickin' English dub. It doesn't make too much sense. Which is
Whiplash.
again the instead of romanization, it's the Japanization of words. So they could have used skill or technique or whatever if they wanted. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. I don't know. I don't like it personally.
less dubbing and more to do with anime itself. Take those examples I showed you earlier. Looking at the dialogue from that Mega Man scene, I want you to read this and imagine a scene where
Okay, so this is what you don't do with dialogue. You do or any kind of written. You never have multiple letters. You never have multiple exclamations. It makes no sense. The only time you do that is with a screenplay and you have directions for the person saying the lines, how to say them. You never write stuff out like this. This is horrible. It makes no sense.
It's like musical notes.
For H. Like, no. Just spell it normally. And if you have to use hyphens, I guess that's fine. But no, you don't have to. This is the weird thing with dialogue. You could write dialogue pretty much any way you want, but there's still the rules of grammar. And you can't.
There are no hyphens here.
I know. There's nothing. It's just repeat the letters over again. I've seen this in so many scripts. Doesn't matter the story. This is how people think, so they write it out in dialogue. So it's not right.
Ellipses are fine.
Ellipses, hyphens, dashes, commas here and there. But yeah, never repeat the letters, especially the consonants.
a loved one, screaming this at the top of their lungs, and it somehow not be cringe. And the other anime, my man's is running at a moving train with tears in his eyes, yelling that he loves someone that can't even hear him. It's cheesy, it's campy, it's melodramatic. The dub isn't what
It's
caused
childish. It's
That
kid.
is a soap opera problem, not an anime problem.
Yeah, inherently. And this is about a child running around screaming. It's like that's normal. There's plenty of kids doing that till teens. So
Also, he's shouting at the train.
yeah, it's childish. It's emotional. We get it. There's good ways to do that.
And soap opera was not invented in Japan.
There's plenty of Japanese soap operas.
It is there, but it was not invented there.
No.
It was morphed into something else, just like in South America.
Oh, those are the best soap
It
operas.
became we just
Soap came from Nazi Germany, I know.
Okay.
And then they combined it with opera, but it was in Italy. See?
opera.
Yeah,
Damn Vienna.
that's how she got her billions.
Harvey?
Yeah. Italians went to Germany. Went, yeah, we're gonna take that. Make it our own. We're gonna take opera.
Piss off.
Exacerbates it. Anime can be incredibly eccentric and over the top. That's part of the appeal. The Best Abridged series poke fun at this exact thing, and it's what makes a lot of the jokes land. That tongue-in-cheek nature that doesn't take itself too seriously. I made a video last year that you should watch if you haven't seen on live-action anime adaptations and why I think they just don't work. Anime has its own set of tropes, archetypes, and style, all of which translate poorly to live action. I think it's a lot of the same principles at work here for why so many fans have such a visceral reaction to hearing dubbed anime. Hearing all the silly shit that's said in
Well, it's mainly a problem when you have weird special effects going on in your anime. Then the live action will be very difficult to pull off well. If it's something more basic, works perfectly.
Yeah, think of
There's lots of weird Japanese wacky movies that employ similar cinematic tropes or techniques, if you will.
right. Like think of the vibe of a spaghetti western, and imagine it's a Japanese anime. It's just a pure spaghetti western. Japan could pull that off. They can take the elements of a spaghetti western, not the lingo, not the tone, not the jargon of 1800s of America, the gold rush times or whatever, but they can get the vibe, they can get the feeling. They can go, okay, we'll get that sort of like, oh, kind of dangerous, kind of this new frontier, people with guns, the kind of lawless land. They've done those stories before. And that's where we got the samurai westerns and all the various other samurai stories that just borrow from that motif almost. So they can take it and turn it into their own thing. That's the beauty of animation, or even just certain directors. So it's not necessarily an anime thing. It's someone who understands the format, takes the elements, and can use that. And it's very difficult when you're forced to use lip sync and to use certain frames of animation to represent your language. It's very difficult. So there could be ways of doing it. So it's not inherently a Japanese anime thing. It's a translation thing. And it doesn't matter if it was like live action to this or that, or the language is inherently baked into the frames of animation, believe it or not. And the tone, and like a ninja village. Like, who would write that story? Not an American.
No.
Not a Canadian. Not like, how would you do that? You'd have to study Japanese history and go, oh, wow, there's this weird mysticism about being a ninja. What is a ninja? It's just a spy, inherently. Well, what if it's more than that? What if there's combined with Shintoism and all other kinds of crazy ideas? Like, whoa. And you get Naruto, and you're like, you could summon giant frogs and snakes. You're like, I don't know where this came from. So it's inherent to the language.
But if you just make udon western, then that's just a samurai movie.
Yeah.
They use very similar camera techniques.
This is true.
It's funny.
Yeah.
in a language that you actually understand makes just how exaggerated and campy everything is front and center. When you're watching with subtitles, the Japanese voices act as a kind of barrier between what's being said and what's being understood. If you don't speak Japanese, there's an additional degree of separation when it comes to interpreting the dialogue. Reading a shonen protagonist give a power of friendship-ass speech is one thing, but actually hearing them say,
I fight for my friends.
Also, English speakers are uniquely unqualified to rate Japanese
That's
voice
just because
acting.
you don't
of
have
course,
friends.
a strong
You wouldn't
performance can
understand.
transcend language, but you're still not going to be able to notice the finer nuances and nitpick the same way you could with English. Ask anybody who hates English dubs to name a single anime with bad Japanese voice acting. They can't. They can't scrutinize the performance without being able to speak the language. Take the 2016 anime Erased. The Japanese casting for this show was unique in that 2 live-action actors with 0 prior voice acting experience were chosen to play the protagonist. One voices him as a child, and the other voices him as an adult. I watched this anime as it was airing, and closely followed the online discourse, but I never once heard any complaints from sub-watchers that the voice actors sounded out of place or inexperienced. It's not something that I picked up on either until I looked into the casting and revisited the anime trying to find differences between the performances of these 2 actors and everyone else on the show. Are the Japanese just born to be voice actors and master the craft without needing any practice?
No. The director would not have chosen them, and the director tells them what to do.
Yeah.
This is like, how good of an actor are you? Well, you could go to school to learn how to act, but if you can't get hired, that means you need to go to school to learn how to act, and the director tells you how to do your job.
I would say that, like, an example that I have on top of my head is, well, the Yakuza series, because there's the prequel and like the remake of the first game, but they didn't recast the main character Kiryu's voice, even though he was like well over 50 by the time he was voicing the character. But like, he's supposed to be 20-year-old in the prequel, but like he just doesn't sound like that. He sounds like a monster. It's so obviously like an older man than that, but like I guess like it gives charm to that. And like he is a really good actor, but it just doesn't sound the part. Or like some other animes where like you're supposed to like have this concept that that's just a little kid. No, it's just a woman voicing a little boy. There are like so many cases like that.
Yeah, it all comes down to, is that what the director or the producer had in mind? Like that was his vision. And it's not just for voice, it's also for adaptations, which we've seen horrible examples of, like the Dutch angle in Cowboy Bebop. I've seen that in Kenneth Branagh's Poirot. He loves Dutch angles. I'm like, why are you doing, like, there's no need to have a 13 or 14 degree angle every time you open a door. It's like, no, stop. Just give me a big room. It's beautiful. Let me see the room like everyone else. No, gotta tilt my head. Okay.
No. Casting inexperienced voice actors for the protagonist was a deliberate decision to isolate him from the rest of the characters and make him sound more like a real person than an anime character. Oh yeah, anime characters don't talk like real people. And if a script is faithfully adapted to another language, regardless of the voice talent, they're still not going to sound like real
child.
people. A perfect example of this is the anime Tomo-chan is a Girl. There's a character called Carol, who's played by Japanese-American voice actress Sally Amaki in both Japanese and English. Despite literally being played by the same exact person, there's still something about the sub that just seems to work better. Because to any English speaker watching the dub, it's immediately apparent that, hey, nobody actually talks like this.
I think white would be better.
I agree with you.
How about we do a simple, sporty outfit that feels familiar, but also looks a bit more feminine?
But with Japanese, Western viewers don't have a point of reference.
Oh, I know girls that talk like that, and they imitate anime.
I didn't know
it's horrible.
I didn't know they made this into an anime. I think I read this.
I never heard of a case where like the actress is voicing both the original and the dub.
That's
it's
cool.
Rare.
Yeah.
But I think like the voice director probably had in mind that like, oh, just do your thing that you would do in Japanese. Because I feel like when you listen to a dub in English, they just like have this expectation that like the kind of tone that you're gonna use in the dub is completely different than how you would use it in Japanese. Like she's so obviously like her native language is more Japanese than English.
Yeah, I noticed that whenever they have a mascot character, like a cute little flying thing that talks to the hero, the heroine about whatever, helping them along their way, it's always this cutesy wootsy whatever. For the most part, there's some exceptions where they're crazy, old men or whatever, but they always do that. And in this case, I don't see this girl as a freaking high school girl. She's an anime character with the, she's what is that? Her cheeks are red, like literally with little spots underneath her eyes. Like, you can't see her as a real person. It's not supposed to be realistic. It's supposed to be anime of high school.
Yeah, she's exaggerated.
It's an interpretation of high school in the exaggerated anime way. And I don't remember if this is the exact title of the manga, because it's Tomo-chan is a tomboy and she's really shy about her feelings for this other guy. That's the whole story, and it's a very quick manga. It's not a long manga, and then people loved it, and it got bigger, so they wrote more. But I didn't know they made it into an anime. I've read this years ago.
Danny DeVito dubs himself in German.
Ooh. Very cool.
Which show or movie?
The Lorax.
Oh yeah, the Lorax.
I was completely blown away when I saw the credits at the end. Like, what? He speaks German, and he sounds like a perfect Northern Coast guy who's on a boat. Like, just like you imagine that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Just anime, so the voices aren't gonna sound
服はスポーティーでちょっとだけカーリーでシンプルなボーイッシュとかどうかな。それでいき
This
ま
is
しょう。
because you're used to
enter
the
the weeaboo.
Japanese.
Even in the original, it sounds like so off, like from everyone else. Like definitely feels like it was a conscious decision from the director that you do that voice.
Yeah, I don't think they're trying for realism. I never thought that was the idea. This is a story about a tomboyish girl who wants to be seen as a girl by her best friend who she loves. If I remember the story correctly. So that's the whole plot. It's the whole thing revolves around her trying to be more feminine, and she sucks at it. So all the other girls around her are cute and whatever. They're all different versions of female, and she's like this tall, thin, strong, sexy girl, and she has no idea what she's doing.
The weeaboo.
Fucking weeaboos go to Japan and be like, where are the subtitles? And nobody talks like this. 貴様てめえぶち殺してやるからななんだとやめろ
Anime is Japanese, but
Weirdos
anime
exist,
is not Japan.
and those stereotypes
Having
are
your
based
sole
on
interaction
weirdos.
with Japanese culture be through anime makes for a slippery slope where some
He's
fans base
Australian.
their understanding of
That's
Japanese
fine.
norms off what they see in anime. Let me spin you a little yarn. Back when I was a youngin', just a hormonal teenager enjoying my Japanese cartoons, I was watching the show Kaicho wa Maid-sama, or some other shoujo anime, and a thought crossed my mind. These maid cafe things are kind of interesting. I wonder if we have one of these over here. So I looked it up, and I found one in Detroit,
Hooters?
Michigan. Now, I got love for my black brothers and sisters, but what I saw made me want to gouge my eyes out, grab the nearest sharp object, and commit Sudoku. Any desire I had to ever visit a maid cafe was swiftly cringed out of my body. When you see something anime outside the larger context of Japan, it's pretty easy to look at it and go, hey, this shit kinda weird. But even within the context of being in Japan, it's still weird.
Genuinely, I don't think I felt more uncomfortable in my entire life.
Not everybody watches anime, let alone
because you're
talks like an
feminist.
anime character. Otaku aren't looked upon favorably. I guarantee you that if you're late for work in Japan and you walk up to your boss with a piece
Did he need time to realize that? Nerds are not looked respectively?
Wow.
Oh, really?
Never heard of that before.
Oh.
It's just in Japan? No, it's everywhere.
Oh, dude, I have a surprise for you.
Look, the Big Bang Theory was a huge mess for us. Now people think in the West that nerds are somehow cool, when we're still not. Just the
Bazinga.
weird hipster imitations are.
I mean, we have our weird fascinations with certain games that we just have to keep playing over and over again every year for no reason. I don't know why we do that. I think it's because we like it, but it could just be repetition. And we're like, oh, I remember doing this 5 years ago. Let's do it again. Yeah, we're kind of weird that way. But that's not just geeks of media. That's anyone doing anything, whether it's gardening or driving the car, You want to get going and doing that thing that you're used to, that you like, or used to like, and it's just normal to you now. I know, it's weird.
To tell him, boss, I'm sorry I'm late. I stopped by the maid cafe to have some omurice and tea. Your boss is not going to turn around and be like, "Stop! Daijoubu dayo. Wakarimashita."
Why would that be any different here when you say that, oh, I on my way to work, I stopped by and got an extra large pizza?
Yeah, it's called responsibility.
It's stupid. You're just late to work. The reason is irrelevant. You're late to work.
Like all these comments that like, okay, like, they don't speak like that. Okay, but like that is still like the basic of their language. If you want to like catch on, like, oh, so this is what it means.
Yeah.
Okay, like they are not going to use that tone. Just like how American movies and shows don't really have the kind of dialogue that everyday people would be talking. Like they have like a completely different tone, like what you see and hear.
Yeah, when you go to a new country.
What? They don't talk as in House of Cards all the time as if they want to slice someone's neck?
Well, it's like
with every line where
or like the
bile is spilling.
When you go to a new country, I don't know if you guys have Duolingo on your phones or you want to learn a new language. They give you the basic stuff you need to know to get by. Like, hey, how's it going? How much for this? What's this called? What time is it? How do I get to here? Like, they're basic forms of who, what, where, when, and why, etc. So we don't expect formal language lessons from these programs unless you study them inherently for years. Nothing to do with anime. Nothing to do with dubbing and subbing.
You will still get cultural whiplash from Japanese office culture. It is a bit more stringent than in the West.
Oh, I think Japanese culture is very diverse, that if you do ever visit Japan, like, everything is different.
You will get leniency because you're the dumb Westerner who doesn't understand anyway. But that doesn't mean that they're not strict.
Oh yeah, they have their own form of manners that they're super nice. That's the thing. Like, you think Canadians are nice? Like, no way. Japan is like leagues ahead of any other culture. Like, you go to Montreal, they're probably the nicest people in Canada.
Yeah, but what I've been told by a few people who've worked there for a couple of years is that it's a really strange mix of politeness while being very direct.
Straightforward and efficient. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's
and that apparently a lot of people have trouble with. I imagine it like a country of millions of functioning autists.
I think it's, if you like clean answers, like, I need to go to here. How do I do that? It's like, oh, bye. It's like, great.
Yeah, but in the end here, it doesn't matter why you're late. Your excuse doesn't matter. The fact is you are late, and because you are late, you will work overtime. On top of your expected overtime that you have to do anyway.
Unfortunately.
Omedeto.
Who let the maid? Mine is Chizuru-chan. She is so kawaii. Everything Japanese is heavily romanticized and even fetishized all over the internet, and Japan does hold some blame.
Yes.
Anime is a cultural export, and an incredibly profitable one. There's a reason why Obama thanked Japan's late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for introducing the rest of the world to the art form.
Like karate and karaoke, manga and anime.
Oh dear.
Obama just read what was told to him. He doesn't give a shit about any of this. He gives a shit about the dick of his husband.
Couldn't it have been a better president to read it?
He's trying to imitate Japanese pronunciation.
Oh my god, if Trump would have been the one.
What?
Anime is the best ever, but maybe Americans could do better.
Trump's version, yeah.
Should have introduced Japanese-style anti-communism.
Oh boy. I was trying to think of something to say in Trump's voice. I'm like, no, it wouldn't work.
And of course,
Hentai too.
All of the things he listed contribute to Japan's soft power. Soft power is a form of power that comes from cultural influence rather than military might. Japan has had a chokehold on pop culture for many years now, and anime is a major part of that, and it's not by coincidence. Countries are very cognizant of their public perception and are always looking for ways to increase their soft power. Japan even put together the...
I wish Canada
I think
would
you're
do that.
overinterpreting here because Japan makes anime for itself. It doesn't really care about the global market in that respect.
Yeah, and you think of programming for kids, you go to, well, who has the best programming for kids? Well, what do you want to teach them? Imagination. Keep them entertained. Have them have a good time by themselves. Learn to dream. You go to Japan. There's all kinds of great ideas there.
Yeah, because you have to show me, and on a large scale, on at least as large a scale, the Japanese pro-Japanese propaganda in anime compared to the pro-American propaganda in Hollywood. Then we can talk about this soft power thing here. Otherwise, no.
Yeah, whenever you talk about or have stories, not necessarily like Gundam stories, but stories of war from anime, there's always like the JSDF. They always reference the diet, the government, all these terms that we're like, what the hell is...
Yeah, but they also make fun of themselves being incapable to deal with an insane problem. Like in you remember when we watched Stink Bomb?
What problem?
From Memories.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Well, I can't come up off the top of my head with anything where the US let the US military look silly. Because even in Hot Shots, it had to be winning. The closest might be the Monster Hunter movie. My God, that was shit.
All right.
Proposal, a strategy to make Japan seem more cool. The country first started making an effort to reform their image post-World War II after they did some things that were not so cool. Hey, weren't you guys responsible for horrible atrocities and war crimes? Cute anime gyaru.
Are you sure you should be complaining about other countries doing atrocious things around the world?
Yeah.
We can play that game. We can play it all night long.
I think every country could play that game.
Yeah. You know what the mistake was that Germany made in trying to fix its public image? We didn't make any media stuff. We just went into the third world and secured some areas and helped the locals.
Because you need to have the A-bomb dropped on you to do that kind of thing.
I guess only that
radiation just enhances art.
Yeah. So we just went to the third world, secured some areas, helped locals build up their shit, protected them from terrorists, and didn't talk about it. So nobody knows. So everybody still thinks we're the assholes. Cool. That didn't work. Whose plan was that? Want to speak with management. That is fun editing.
Cute aesthetic is something that's prominent throughout Japanese media and is a direct result of how Japan markets its culture. They perpetuate harmful stereotypes that give foreigners a messed up perception of the country. Now I gotta explain to my son that not every Japanese girl speaks with a high-pitched voice and only knows 2 words. Basically, what I'm saying is...
I created you. You created me.
Wait a minute, why did you create that guy?
I did.
A country that severely lacks soft power is China. If you look up China on social media, instead of getting popular franchises, you're just gonna see social credit memes that one...
Have you guys seen Chinese influence around the world with technology and food and culture and all kinds of other stuff?
Well, so far this guy has proven that like he only rates it if he can see it on TV or like some memes about it.
Yeah, not that he is surrounded by Chinese spyware and spy hardware.
I mean, like in the US, I guess like it's not as strong as everywhere else. Like if you're in Europe, you will notice it instantly.
Yeah, this is kind
How
of
many businesses they own by now in Europe is insane.
Well, Africa is even worse, but yes,
they basically own
Europe.
certain areas completely at this point. Yeah.
Look at real estate across the world, technology. Like China's gigantic.
They'd push their propaganda movies more if the language barrier wasn't there. Then we'd all be watching Wolf Warrior.
Yeah, Chinese language is not as appealing as the Japanese one. I did hear that the Shanghai dialect is kind of close to Japanese, though.
It's
Chinese is I find it hard to listen to.
Especially
when it gets musical, when it's being sung.
It is probably twice as hard to learn, but it's everything you write is supposed to be read. So every character in Mandarin is said as you read it or as you write it. Kind of like German is also literal. Like it's everything you write, you have to say. So
but almost every language is like that except for English.
French. We forget French.
Oh, the French, but
I think the English got that disease from the French.
Oh God.
Why would you adopt French sins?
Where's that meme? I can't remember how long it is. Probably a TikTok video where it's the sound of ton. There's this guy saying like an entire paragraph, and every noun and every verb and every descriptor is tom in French. And it's in a full language. This is how you say every word. It's amazing.
Oh, there's a Chinese poem or tongue twister that just uses the syllable sa in different pronunciations, and it's like 30 lines long, I believe. And the exact same amount of syllables, a tongue twister exists in the south of China, and it has a completely different meaning. It's great. Chinese is wonderful.
You could actually go to the Google Translate and put the sentence in from English to French. I'll show you the video later. It's amazing.
Yeah, I have seen it.
Yeah, but in contrary, the Japanese language is wonderful to speak, wonderful to sing, because you get a wonderful syllable per note. It is great, just like Finnish.
Well, it's much easier too. Like it doesn't have as many sounds.
Head shape and 早上好中我现在我有冰淇淋我很喜欢冰淇淋 But in recent years, there's been something working its damn hardest to change that. Genshin Impact. Genshin is a Chinese video game, but you'd be forgiven for thinking it's Japanese.
We know it's Chinese. It looks Japanese as hell.
It's basically
this is just anime style copied.
Yeah, and that's just one of them. There's multiple Genshins, so it's popular. People like it. It's fun.
And Honkais.
Yep.
Anime, but also extremely popular, unsurprisingly, with anime fans. Now, the last line of defense for a lot of dub haters is to say that, honestly, I just like consuming things in the original language that it was made in. Dubbing to English changes too much. But in this Chinese game, made by Chinese people, I have not met a single person who plays with the Chinese dub. It's either English, or more times than not, they're playing in Japanese. This is what makes me think that it's because of an established association.
I'd rather play it in Russian than Chinese.
Between the anime aesthetic and Japanese language, rather than some innate quality that makes Japanese voices superior to all others.
Well, it's the same with South Korean or whatever that sounds. I've played games on mobile games and this and that have the South Korean standard kit. They didn't bother to localize it with the voice actors from America, and it's like, wow, this is a really not guttural, but just a rough language. Like everyone's just like not screaming, but like like really tough. Like everyone sounds really curt with each other. So it probably sounds beautiful in the native words that you can understand, but yeah, it's rough for someone who doesn't know the language. And Japanese is a bit more, as I said, a bit more poetic, a bit more nice to listen to.
even entirely disagree with the original language thing. Original script is important when translating. Dialogue often has to be localized so that it makes sense to the audience you're translating for. But sometimes localization turns into bastardization, and scriptwriters make something completely different. Sometimes it works out, usually it doesn't, like with the aforementioned donut from Pokemon.
Jelly-filled are my favorite. Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut.
And with this anime.
Yeah, that was
You got a
unnecessary.
stick up your ass? Or are you one of those dumbass Gamergate creep shows?
Well, that's just not what was said. Localization is meant to take foreign concepts and rewrite them in a way that's easy to understand. Introducing entirely new lines that have nothing to do with the dialogue does neither of those things. This being something that puts people off of dubs, I completely understand, but localization can be and has been done well. What I find to be more important than the country of origin is the setting of the stories and creator's vision for the piece of media. For example, I mentioned before that ever since I picked up the Naruto sub, I never went back to the dub. Despite not being set in Japan, most characters in Naruto have Japanese names and the story is heavily inspired by Japanese folklore. So the Japanese voice—
Well, that you want to rewatch Naruto in a different language. That's redundant. Why would you do that to yourself?
Why would you want to? Why would you ever, regardless of language?
Because Germany has the best Naruto opening. That's a fact.
Oh god, no.
Wait, isn't the German dubbing for that just the opening and then the outro?
Can we not talk about the German version of Naruto?
It's an American rap, yeah.
Can we not talk about
if
the
you
German
believe
version
it.
of Naruto, please? Oh god,
still
they
amazing, 20
removed
years
all the
later.
blood. They removed all the blood, and Naruto's parents aren't dead, they're just gone.
Sasuke is really cool. Sakura, the beautiful.
Sasuke!
At least they didn't change the food. That's okay. As long as they didn't do
The
that.
Nuremberg trials are still fake for the dubbing of parents.
We still have to suffer.
I was only doing orders, sir.
All right,
Oh,
let's get some super chats going. Vladimir Dragunov, thank you, sir. Fun fact: there's only one recorded instance of an airplane hitting a fish. What?
Huh?
Okay, thank you. Another one. Don't trust China. China is ash hole. Okay, what?
China is asshole.
Why did you write it that way?
He writes it like it was said in the video.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Don't trust China. China is asshole.
YouTube apparently doesn't like me typing that country's name. Ooh, why is that, YouTube? Can't
That's why you have to spell it China.
Oh God. I don't know.
Just purse your lips like Sean Connery.
There's so many weird stories of people getting demonetized for absolutely nothing, and it's related to who knows what. It's so hard to follow these rules.
Watch the China show. China doesn't like you watching the China show.
All right, we're at 16 minutes. We're almost done. We got 5 more minutes left. Hopefully, he has another advertisement for frozen food or whatever the hell, freeze-dried frozen food. What was that called?
Frozen steak.
Protocol? What do you call it? I can't remember. It's a weird name. Ugh.
Conversely, Full Metal Alchemist is an anime that I watch dubbed. Given the Western setting and character names, it made more sense to me to constantly hear them saying Edward Elric instead of Eduardo Eroriku. Also, the official language of Amestris is...
Well, no, it's a good dub. There's again, dude, you compare this to other dubs like Cowboy Bebop. That's a good dub. There's lots of reasons why it's good, not because of the setting or the words, the names. They got good actors with a guy who understood the material, and they took the effort. So no, it's not because
he's probably coming from a point that like, why don't you watch everything with dub? But there cannot be something in between. Oh shit.
Where are we? We zoom ahead.
I think I got back.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
English, so I found it to be more immersive. Something like Cowboy Bebop, I couldn't imagine watching subbed.
Why?
Shinichiro Watanabe's...
Why not? Tell me why.
It's the future.
Everything. Okay, this is silly. This is like I can't imagine reading the original source material. It's like what? Why not? That's how it was originally made. That's why
I can't imagine reading Mein Kampf in English.
I can't imagine going to Italy and having pizza. Like, what am I doing? Like, the birth.
That's. Didn't you Whisp link that debunking video about MatPat's pizza video?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so bad. The entire point of that video was like, okay, well, what makes New York pizza so good? The water. Okay, everyone else is saying that it's not the ingredients. It's nothing. It's actually just the water. Oh.
And he can't even make consistent dough because he's using
like
different amounts of water and flour, and then wonders why. Oh, look, with this water, the dough is totally slimy and stuff. Like, yeah, because you use less flour, you idiot.
Anyway, I'm gonna use flour afterwards.
Yeah.
Science, and he calls that science.
All he had to do was
find different experiment setups.
Yeah, all he had to do was go to the local bakery or someone who's training to be a cook or a baker and say, "Hey, can I borrow you for a bit? I'll pay you for whatever the day," and say, "How do you make bread?" Because that's what pizza is. It's bread. It's like, okay, well, you need flat bread. All right, how do you do flat bread? Well, you get some water and you get some dough. He's like, "Oh, what kind of dough? Double O flour. Cool. What kind of water? The best we get, whatever. Mineral water, spring water, doesn't matter. Use it." It's like, great. How long do you wait for the dough to rise? Blah, blah, blah. Like and then you go from there. You don't just do it yourself like an idiot. You're like, it's goop. What do I do? This is like asking a guy to build a rocket and all he knows how to do is I don't know, ride a bike. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Like, all that told me is that he never ever before in his life, and that includes his wife, never made any dough, ever, himself.
He doesn't.
That is like these were beginner mistakes.
He doesn't know how to.
The first few dough you will mess up, and then you figure out what the intricacies are, and then you make good dough.
Yeah, I recently actually bought pasta from Jamie Oliver, and the reason why I bought it obviously was on sale, but the ingredients are water, just water, and semolina. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what you do when you make dried pasta. You use semolina and water. You don't need anything else. Like, that's exactly what I want. If I were to do it from scratch, that's what I would use. So when you boil it, it's like,
oh, you mean like a ingredient mix that you just need to add water to?
Well, no. If you're making fresh pasta, it's a little different. Like, you want eggs and salt and other things. But if you want hard pasta or that sort of texture where you could make al dente pasta, that's what you use. And I read the ingredients. I'm like, yeah, I would buy this, and I tried it. Tastes perfectly fine. There's no surprises. You just dump it in the water. You're great. So. Yeah, that's all. Like, there's recipes for a reason, and you need to know. Like, there's the recipe, and then there's the preparation. There's, like, you have to have some cooking knowledge. You can't just.
You also need to know your oven.
Your tools, yeah, you have to.
Because your oven will be a little bit different from any other oven,
and
so the heat will work a little bit different, especially as it ages.
Yeah, and for me, like, I don't like getting my hands messy, so I'll go to the baker. I'll say, "You got any dough?" He's like, "Yeah, they're in the freezer." Like, great, it's 2 days old, no problem. I'll pick it up, defrost it. It's totally fine. You can do that with dough. They put it in the freezer anyway because it takes at least a day to rise. So it's normal. Like, this is standard baking procedure. And yeah, there's other problems with that video. Like, the best pizza in the world is from America, and I'm like, are you serious right now?
I've never heard else.
Something so dumb.
How about the guys who invented frickin' pasta and pizza?
I like the guy how kind he was. He said okay, I would accept that. At least he was in Naples at least once trying pizza, but no,
well, the thing is,
fucking left the States.
The best pizza you can get here is from an Italian from Salentino.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to
and he told me I am one of the few people. He told his trick of what he does with his dough to make it so special.
Oh, there's so many.
He spits in the dough.
No.
The Italian saliva is
Oh my god.
Maybe that's the other.
Smut
Maybe that's the other secret ingredient.
There's a whole
yeah.
process. It's not just water and flour.
Yeah, there's a lot more to making good dough than what kind of water you use.
Yeah.
And MatPat, what did he study?
Oh.
Neuro something?
God, who knows what he studied. Either way, if you go to Italy and you ask people throughout the country, Italy's a huge country, not in terms of size, in terms of people. The people from the center and the north will always argue, well, yeah, if you like that style of pizza, go here. But the best pizza that I know is around the block, that blah, blah, blah. Like, everyone has their own nuance and answer to what's your favorite. So Sicilians will argue, theirs is better and their ingredients are more fresh and their cheese is better. Like, there's like 24 kinds of pecorino in the country. Like, which one do you use? We'll try it out. So water and flour is like the beginning of his journey. That should have been like step 1 of 12 to find. Like, there's so many arguments about using a pizza stone for baking, the oven. You have to use a pizza oven. You have to use this tray. You have to baste it. You have to do all these things with butter, and there's all kinds of techniques. And yeah, he mentioned Boston as well. It's like, yeah, Boston has their own style, which is basically a pie, a giant pie that you put stuff into, which happens to be pizza ingredients. There's Boston. Not Boston. There's like 4 different kinds of pizza in America, and he just chose New York style, which is bizarre. All it is flatbread.
Be glad he didn't choose Chicago.
Yeah, that's true. Chicago is very.
I have seen those things. They are not pizza. That is cake.
Well, I was going to say it's a giant pie, but there's focaccias that are slightly bigger, which is just bread. And Italians use that for all kinds of reasons. So it's
there's an entire nation on this earth that is full of pizza bakers, and he says, "Oh, what this is? America has the best one." Right.
It is good because Italian cuisine is simple, so anyone can do it. That's true. And you can go buy some San Marzano tomatoes and make a sauce, and it'll taste good.
It's supposed to be able to make it yourself. Pizza is started out as a dish for the poor.
Well, in Greece,
because it's so simple.
It still is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that also means it's easy to prepare.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when you're a kid, you don't know what the hell you're doing in the kitchen. So anyway,
learn to bake bread.
Yeah, very important lesson. Anyway.
Everybody should. And if you have figured it out, and you have children, you teach your children how to bake bread. The apocalypse is just one bad policy decision away. You want to know how to bake bread.
And then you go to the bakery and you go, Daddy, what's that smell? That's bread. How come our bread doesn't smell like that? I don't know. And you learn. And that's why you buy your bread at the baker, because they're so good at it. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Let's get back to the wonderful world of this guy and why he doesn't like dubs. More Vladimir. Thank you, sir, for the 2. Free Tibet. Oh, no. YouTube is okay with this one. I don't know. Are they? I have no idea what the politics of YouTube are with China. One more. Free Hong Kong. I'm surprised this one wasn't censored. Really? I think Hong Kong is influencing the West more than we know. We just don't see it as much.
Not anymore.
They have their ways.
Aren't they behind the big firewall now as well?
Nope. They get through no problem. My brother's wife's family's from Hong Kong. They talk all the time. They have no problems communicating.
Okay.
Yeah. No
Free Southern Mongolia.
Sure. Anyway, back to Bebop. Here we go.
Or your Western influence, and he's even said that he prefers the English dub himself.
That's not confirmed, by the way. It's a Reddit post that you can see that, like, supposedly he said that, and all you can find is Reddit information. So it's not confirmed.
An urban legend.
Yes.
A Reddit legend?
It's a Reddit legend. Like, he was impressed by the dub because, but the other thing is that Sunrise is very strict with dubbing. Like, I think Double Zeta Gundam had English dub, and they didn't like it, and they just scrapped it entirely.
This is like saying
being impressed and liking it better than the original are different things.
Yeah, this is like
very
saying
different.
The audiobook in English sounds better than the audiobook in my language. for whatever reason. It just sounds better. It's like, yeah, sure. Okay. That's a bonus that other people took your thing that you made and transformed it in an attractive way that you would prefer. But no, the original creator wrote it that way and created it that way exactly the way he wanted. And if someone makes it prettier or makes it more acceptable to another audience, awesome. I'm happy for that transition. That's great.
Cowboy Bebop is like a really good dub, but like sometimes like Steve Blum is just trying too hard. And the other thing is that like every time like Steve Blum voices a character, he just sounds the same. Like what's the difference between this performance and Mugen from Samurai Champloo? Nothing. It's literally the same character.
It's when he gets guttural, like when he does grunt. You know, like,
yes, whenever he does the grunts, it's just it's just not right.
I'm Wolverine. I talk like this. I'm Grunt from Mass Effect. I talk like it's like, yeah, we get it. It's the same.
Or that's at least what everyone says. I've never actually found a source for that.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
The setting is the main thing I consider when choosing which version to watch, but it's not a definitive rule. I still went with the sub for Attack on Titan because I found some of the English voices insufferable. Armin sounds 3 times his age, and Eren sounds like he's permanently clenching his teeth anytime he says.
Look at that.
That's just the anime.
Look at that. Those black. Look how thick those black outlines are. I was like, wow.
They were, yeah.
It feels like
the early Attack on Titan was just so.
Yes.
Everyone's is drawn that clenched up. So it's only fitting that the voice actor then also speaks like that.
Well, it's as if they're not even part of the background. They're just sort of there. They're stuck there.
And then you see the original art in the manga and like, oh god. I'm so glad I can see the anime instead.
Yeah.
There are some trash-ass dubs. You won't see off dubs wholesale. If you're going to be a hater, at least take the time to experience what you're hating on to come up with some better reasons why you hate it. Shit, I'm being a hater right now. Be like me, a hater with extra steps. Japanese dubs have their own set of problems.
I don't want to be black. No.
We talked about it in the beginning. It's basically what most people are. They just avoid the dubs because they don't want to take the risk of watching the crap versions. So just go to the thing that you know is most likely okay, which is the sub.
Did Toonami take Darker Than Black, or was that another dub company? That Crunchyroll? I can't recall.
I think it, no.
I watched all the originals with subs just because that's what I do. But I'm like, was this like he just showed Darker Than Black? I'm like, is that a bad example or a good example? Like, I don't get it. I wish he had some reference. Like, he knows his stuff, but it's like, is it good or bad? Like, just use it properly. Tell me what's going on. Like the one with the one he showed with the time travel one. Oh, what the hell's the name of it? The guy when he's
Steins Gate.
Steins Gate. Thank you. He didn't say it because it's so popular, so we know what the hell he's talking about. The line from that scene, but like that was a clip from a random episode of Darker Than Black. I'm like, was that a scene where he sounded bad? Like, I don't remember. I don't like. Why are you putting anime randomly on the screen for me to guess? What is happening?
And Enigma asks, is this video's argument not all dubs? And I think so, because he's more talking all over the place instead of honing in on a point.
Yeah, he likes or prefers subs, but in particular cases, he says, well, I like it if the setting is European or ish. Therefore, in the case of Full Metal Alchemist, he prefers the dub.
So he's a normal person.
I guess. I don't like whether you watch the dub in German or English or Japanese for Brotherhood, it's going to be a good time. You're going to have it's a great show. So it doesn't matter. They put a lot of effort into it. All of them sound good. Same with Bebop. You know, some shows just work. They put the effort.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the show.
Look, juveniles are gonna make stupid black and white arguments and have their stupid positions and camps where they fight over nonsense. You can't convince them. You just have to wait until they grow up, like you did, and get a nuanced position, nuanced opinion. That's all. Stop arguing with juveniles.
Yeah,
That's
I'm trying to think of Japanese animes that are so inherently Japanese, like they have Shintoism and magic and all these references, idioms that you wouldn't catch, like tongue twisters. I'm like, okay, that would not work in English very well. I think it's the Monogatari series. That might be a little complicated because it's so stylized, it's so specific with its language and its camera and its cuts and the girls and all the weird mystical, like he's like a half vampire and all the other people have something weird going on with them he has to solve. His sisters are all weird. They're very nuanced. So that I've never watched the dub. I'm sure there is a dub of that series, but it's been going on for at least a decade now. So it must be popular in other parts of the world, and they must have a dub. If anyone knows, please tell me. I'll check it out.
It reminds me, have we ever watched Mononoke?
Not together. No.
But you have seen it?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
That was I saw it in theaters, but then I saw it on
in theaters.
Yeah. Princess Mononoke. They had
No, not Princess Mononoke. The series Mononoke has nothing to do with Ghibli.
Oh, sorry. No, I did not see it.
Okay. Something to do.
All right.
Problems when an anime has non-Japanese characters. In Black Lagoon, there's a scene where two characters have a language barrier. This is Revi. She speaks English. This guy only speaks Japanese, and he's trying to beg for his life.
Give me what?
I cannot speak.
Quit yapping, you goofball. You gonna give it to me one night? Come on. All we got left is to mop up the place. 二手に分かれて姫とあのクソ
Wait a minute, I thought you can't speak Japanese. She just goes from speaking broken English.
Okay, this is interesting because there was an episode of Mushoku Tensei last week where the show's in Japanese, everyone's speaking Japanese, and then we encounter a character who's also isekai to the same place, and all of a sudden that one scene when they enter the room, they're speaking in the made-up language of the world they're in, so that when they're speaking to each other, it's like, oh, you're Japanese. Then they switch to Japanese, and the elf girl chick is like, I can't understand you. Why are you talking in that language? And that was a funny thing because everyone's speaking Japanese until it deals with actual Japanese, and they have to bring back the old language. And then when that scene's done, they go back to everyone speaking Japanese, which I thought was funny. And just to bring home the point that this is a trope in these kinds of stories where you have multiple people from Japan go to this place. Everyone does not know the language unless they have a skill to do so, to learn the language of whomever. And then when they encounter each other, it's like, oh my God, you're Japanese? Yeah, you're Japanese. But they've never done that I know of in anime. It was only in manga, so that was not an inherent problem. And depending on your translation group, it could be machine translated, which is usually bad. There is some understanding that, oh, okay, now you're speaking a different language. But to actually hear that, I was like, oh, that's clever. So they actually had to go the Tolkien route and make a whole language. Whether the written language is real, I don't know. But the fact they had to make one spoken was the extra effort.
Vinland Saga is filled with scenes like this. Here's Thorfinn, who speaks Old Norse, telling an Englishwoman that he can't understand his language because he doesn't speak English, while they're both speaking in Japanese. I want you to look me in the eyes and tell me that Japanese is the ideal way to experience this story.
So how are you gonna do it in dub? How is this done in the dub? Like, they're gonna do the same that instead it's just like English for both sides.
You would need subtitles then if you play it out with the languages.
Yeah,
and there are animes that do that, but they're
extra
rare.
mile with dubbing like that. No.
This is fine though. This is totally normal. This is the same. It doesn't matter if you're going from Japanese to another language. It has nothing to do with the anime being cringe. This is
in these moments you just expect the audience to play along, and that is okay for things like this.
Right, and the audience is not stupid to okay, they're having this scene about a language problem. Like, okay, we get it.
If this is a full-fledged movie, not just a season recap, then I would put different standards to it. But generally, this is a standard cinematic thing that you do. Otherwise, well, get some people who speak ancient northern languages. I don't want to watch this in Swedish, by the way.
That would be interesting to pay and find someone. Can you speak in this language and teach everyone else? And then it's inherently a Swedish language Japanese anime with subtitles for the Japanese. The Japanese subtitles. That'd be great. And the dubbing team would just... Actually, you would need a dubbing team. You just get the company who made the thing, kick out the Japanese subtitles and put in the English subtitles. You're like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be done. We don't want to hire a dubbing team. We're doing it. We already did it the right way. That'd be great.
Personally, in a perfect world, there would be no dubbing for different demographics. Every character would be voiced in their canonical spoken language.
What is he talking about? What the... In a perfect world, we could have diamonds for water. Like, yeah, okay.
There are movies like that.
Yeah, but like that is up to the whoever is directing the original voice acting for the show. Do they want to have something like that?
Yeah, what was the... I'm trying to remember when they did the Legendary Edition for Mass Effect, but even before then, they had like translated in like 24 different languages or whatever. It's like, whoa.
Yes. And I can also remember like, it's one of the Rebuild Evangelion movies. The second one, yeah. They have a scene where they are at an American research center and everyone is talking in English. And the Japanese actor for I can't remember like who's the secret agent, but like he's trying to talk in English and it's so bad. But everyone around him is a native speaker, however, so you don't really notice that, but like, it's just it's so bad.
Oh boy, that's funny.
So like either you have actors who can do two things at once or something along those lines, but it's just so much hassle to do for voice acting. For what it is worth.
Yeah, this is one thing that not even AI, at least presently, can fix.
You should watch Tom Yum Gong. That movie does that. You have English, you have some... you have two Southeast Asian languages that I can't identify because I don't know these things. And with some of those scenes you have subtitles, with others you don't.
Or The Passion of Christ with what's supposed to be Aramaic, and then there's Jewish, and then there's Latin.
Cool
what?
stuff.
No one is speaking kebab? And Mark's gone.
Mark! Oh no!
Oh no.
He's back.
You insulted the wrong people, Mark.
Yeah, I can't say Jewish again.
All
Hebrew.
Right. 3 more minutes. Here we go.
Game based in ancient Greece? Doesn't matter if your target audience speaks Swahili, dub it in Greek. Or you're making a show set in a fictional land with a made-up language? Then all your characters should be dubbed in a made-up language, and everybody gotta read subtitles. Whatever best...
Man, you must have a budget, man.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I get what he's saying. And I made the same example with Swedish or whatever, but no, you sell this to your audience, and if your demographic is a certain language, you say it in that language to be polite, to not waste their time, to make it easier for them to get into the thing than forcing them to hear a bunch of mumbles of a language no one in the planet knows. That would be kind of cruel, I would think. Like imagine all the translations were real in Star Trek or Babylon 5, like everything. All the aliens spoke in their language, and we all had subtitles or whatever. And the humans had to use like the real live action translator to talk to everyone.
Yeah. They only made the limited amounts of language they needed. They didn't develop full-fledged languages like as was done for Sindarin or Klingon.
Right.
Those are absolute exceptions in fiction.
The idea was that they were diplomats on a space station, so they learned each other's language, and it just happened to be a Terran station. So it's like, okay, we have to learn that language. Everyone did.
Everybody learned English because it's easy.
Except some of the weirder aliens that don't have the ability to do that, so they would have to use subtitles.
Yeah, the weird fly people, they have translation devices.
Right. So, but that was good.
I don't even know what the Pakmara do.
Yeah.
Do they digest in certain in weird noises?
There's too many aliens in Bab 5. I was like, what do these do again? Like, what's their trade? What do they contribute?
It's the better Mass Effect.
Well, yeah. It is the best of all the sci-fi I know, or science fiction I know. Okay.
Piece of media should be the only version produced. Some Japanese game companies have had this figured out for a minute now. Despite being based in Japan, Capcom has games like Resident Evil and Devil May Cry where the English dub is heavily prioritized. The recent Final Fantasy XVI is lip-synced to the English voices rather than the Japanese. From Software didn't even produce Japanese dubs for any of the Souls games. Given the medieval fantasy setting, English better fits the creator's artistic vision for the games, and all of these titles have phenomenal voice work. I ain't never met somebody who said, actually I would prefer to play the Japanese game Dark Souls with Japanese voices, but if I did. It has nothing to do with Japanese things inherently being better in Japanese, and everything to do with anime tropes and aesthetics specifically feeling all the more unnatural in English. The more anime an anime is, the more likely it is people are going to bounce off the English dub. There's a reason you recommend your friends FMA or Death Note as a gateway anime, as opposed to something like K-On!
I would not want to watch Death Note in English.
No, Death Note is not a good first recommendation.
Oh.
Yeah, depending on the person, K-On! Is a great recommendation.
Yeah.
K-On! Is the gateway to the right wing. I think like there are some journalists who have legitimately have thoughts like that.
Seriously?
Yes, that like K-On! Profile pictures are spreading like far right messages, and like they are like a lot of people that are trolling like that, but like they are legitimately convinced that it's like it's a right wing show.
All the trolls.
And then they
are
were
not...
shocked that like, oh no, it's just little girls trying to sing and like play music.
Well, I think
there are no trolls. It's only real Nazis everywhere. They're everywhere.
I think
be paranoid.
They're in Argentina. They're around your mailbox.
I think the universal appeal of some shows like Pokemon, One Punch Man, like they just resonate regardless of the language. People get it. So, yeah, the dubbing for Pokemon was weird and horrible at times, but you get what's going on. It's for kids. The One Punch Man, everyone gets. Oh, superheroes, but it's a satirical thing. Oh, we get it. Okay. So,
for his argument, it always depends on how good the quality is. You could imagine that, by his logic, of course, the German dub for Game of Thrones would be a wonderful choice. But it sounds absolutely atrocious because absolutely every character, without exception, constantly speaks like this, almost through the teeth and with pressure in the voice, as if everybody wants to kill everybody right now. Even when you're just talking about the weather or the food or how you like someone, it all sounds as if you have a knife in your hand and want to stab it into the eye of whoever you're talking with. That kind of ruins it.
Well, I think the memorable scenes that work, regardless of language, are what's important. So I brought up One Punch Man. Whenever Saitama says okay, it's the same tone and the same delivery, whether it's from the Japanese voice actor or the English guy or whatever. Like you have to understand if the actor or the director knows what the scene, the energy is supposed to be, as opposed to the Game of Thrones where everyone's angry at each other in German. It's like, okay, yeah, he's just bored. It's like, okay, soka, sure, whatever. You're gonna hit me, and I'm gonna stand here and wait till you hit me again, and then I'll punch you, and then I'm back to my pathetic life again, where I can't get excited over anything because I'm already as strong as possible. So once you get the message of the scene and the story and the media, then you can direct your actors properly, and it doesn't matter how skilled they are, so long as they get the meaning of the scene correct. And that's with tone and obviously some of the lip syncing you have to fix, meaning you have to cut some words out. And that's just natural. So, yeah, no, it's completely at the quality of the director and how much attention to detail he's giving each scene. And whether the
I don't think he thought this topic through.
Yeah, this is such a simple solution. I don't know, or this is a problem that his examples are like, well, yeah, you just like those animes. There's dozens of those over the years that just don't work well because the budget was not there. It was bootlegged. It was ADV films back in the 90s or Viz Video or whatever, and they just got random crap and they just put it out. See people bought it.
Game very anime, so you don't see nearly as many people complaining about the voice acting. Since FromSoft released the Souls games with only English, it's safe to assume that their 2019 game, based in Sengoku period Japan, only had Japanese audio. Nah, that shit had 6 different language options, but it did default to the Japanese, and it gave players this little message saying, the game is Japanese, please play the game in Japanese. Because God forbid you release a game in the West without English voices. Just like how there are anime fans who refuse to watch dubs, there are people who won't consume anything that requires subtitles. My running theory is that they're all illiterate.
No, it's localization. they just
wait a minute. So you're telling me the people that read the subtitles but don't want to hear the audio, they're illiterate? I feel like something got lost in how do you say translation there?
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Go back.
I gotta hear that again.
Default to the Japanese, and it gave players this little message saying, the game is Japanese, please play the game in Japanese.
No, it says this title is default spoken language is Japanese. It didn't say please. That's just the standard.
No, like he's interpreting that like the game developers are kind of like softly saying it to the players.
Yeah, well, no, with a please, but
because
you see the title, you see the symbolism. You probably bought the game, saw it on the box, all being Japanese, and then this message appears telling you, "Hey, I guess that would be more immersive. Let's do that."
Yeah, but we have apps nowadays that in real time can do lip syncing based off any language. So maybe if it wasn't pre-rendered, I don't know what these. I think these things are real time. So you could do that. You can code it that way. We've been doing that since frickin' Witcher 3. So it's been like what 9-10 years with Witcher 3. I can't remember when that came out. So we have all kinds of techniques to do this, to solve these problems, at least with gaming. So, whatever.
Forbid you release a game in the West without English voices. Just like how there are anime fans who refuse to watch dubs, there are people who won't consume anything that requires subtitles. My running theory is that they're all illiterate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So people who don't like subs, he thinks are illiterate. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Nigga, read!
But they're still not as nearly as annoying as the subbed anime crowd. Most of them just want to be able to understand what's being said without having to be distracted by text at the bottom of the screen, which is a decent enough reason. But even that is a sentiment that I've been hearing.
Okay, when you get old, I don't know if you've ever seen older people watch TV, they want the subtitles. They can't hear. They need them.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like a hearing impairment solution.
I honestly have the subtitles on for many American movies because I can't fucking understand what you're mumbling.
Yeah.
Huh? What?
It is tough, and this is an inherently natural issue, getting older or not knowing the language. So closed captioning, subtitles, it's all the same. It's text on the bottom of the screen.
The solution is dying young.
Yeah.
27's the cutoff point.
Even if you know the language, you still can't hear the damn thing. It's like, what the hell is that? Who is that?
There has to be like a dub defender that's gonna say like, I'd rather kill myself than read subtitles.
People speak too quickly, but that's okay. Like, what? No, I can't hear them. I need closed captioning, please.
Less and less. With the insane popularity achieved by shows like Squid Game and the film Parasite, people become open to the idea of watching foreign media. They realized, you know what? Maybe I can read faster than 15 words per minute.
Seriously, you needed Squid Game to realize that. Are we talking about this kind of audience? It's a completely different pacing when you have a movie, like a live action movie, than an anime, because the anime is just so fast paced. I can understand like some people just can't catch on with the subtitles. That like, oh shit, I missed that one. I didn't have enough time to like interpret like what is happening. Like the live actions always have a much slower pace, so of course you're gonna have enough time to read them. Or when you literally have no other alternatives to that.
I remember
like,
watching.
Is there an English dub for Parasite or Squid Game?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. I do recall.
Chat says the dub was especially bad, infamously bad.
Which dub?
For Squid Game.
Oh. I just can't imagine it. Because I never watched that thing.
I'm trying to remember the anime I watched a few months back during the end of the fall season. The pacing was so quick, and the dialogue matched it, but for me it wasn't a big problem. And the story was about a guy being an isekai, and he's a superpowered hero and all that crap. It's just everything happens so quickly. Like he gets a marriage proposal and another marriage proposal, and he's fighting a dragon, and he's fighting another dragon. It's like, this is all in one episode. So and every episode was like that. And I remember the manga was also like that, but because it's a manga, you have time between panels naturally. Your brain fills in the gaps, and it was a funny read. It was a joke. It was almost like a satire. But when you see it in the anime format, the director just went, let's just throw that all on the screen. And you're just like, what is going on? You could still follow
It's
along.
the quick panel joke.
I don't know what that technique is called, but
I made that up, but
I don't know.
We need a name for it.
Yeah, no,
it's just going quick through many scenes.
Like there's no slowdown, there's no epilogue. It's just like this happened, then this happened, and this happens. You're like, okay, it's like everything's happening, and we're just on the third episode, and he's already like an aristocrat, and the king is like giving him the title of the kingdom. He doesn't want it. That's the inline joke. He's just constantly giving him the kingdom. He doesn't want it, and he has to go train, and he has this pocket dimension. And he's gone for 2 years, but he could magically turn his image back to when he was a kid. So even though he's 26 now, he's still 14. He's like, like everything's happening. But that's part of the fun. And you didn't get that vibe reading the manga, but translating it to the anime was hard. But the subtitles weren't the problem, or it was easy to follow rather. So
there's also a thing about subtitles that I noticed when I had a long period of not watching anything with subtitles, because I didn't watch anything during that time. And getting back into it, I noticed that I had initial problems. I had to get back into it. And that's just something that you can tell people, that it just takes a few moments, and then you get the hang of it. because you will miss a few lines at first when you've never read something with subtitles, because you try to read it with your inner voice. But that's not how you read subtitles. You don't spell them out in your head. And once you get the hang of that, it's easy.
All right.
Pretty cool. It's in stark contrast to the level of closed-mindedness that you see from alleged cultured individuals. There's definitely a middle ground to be reached between avoiding all subtitles and worshiping everything Japanese. Language can have a profound effect on how...
What the hell kind of a goalpost is that?
But I don't know what he said.
Listen to the two extremes.
From alleged lies. You know what? Maybe I can read faster than 15 words per minute. And that's pretty cool. It's in stark contrast to the level of closed-mindedness that you see from alleged cultured individuals. There's definitely a middle ground to be reached between avoiding all subtitles and worshiping everything Japanese.
Avoiding all subtitles, so dubs, and worshiping everything Japanese.
Those are pretty extreme stances. Can you do something else than think and accuse people of black and white thinking? Because that seems to be your doing.
Well, he's black, so can you blame him?
So he's projecting
There's only one
blackjacking. He's blackjacking. I don't know.
All right.
I'm lost.
Language can have a profound effect on how you experience media, and you'd be doing yourself a disservice by limiting yourself to just one. It's okay to have a preference. Just try not to base that preference on bullshit.
That's a weird statement. Let me just rewind that.
Language can have a profound effect on how you experience media.
Language can have a profound effect on how you experience media. If you don't have language, what are you using? Visuals and audio. Okay. So
he means the type of language.
Sure.
Glass has a significant effect at how you drink water.
This guy.
Lead glass is not recommendable.
That is true. Okay.
And you'd be yourself a disservice by limiting yourself to just one. It's okay to have a preference. Just try not to base that preference on bullshit. And remember...
What do you mean?
A preference is a preference is a preference.
If I like fast food, that's my preference. It's not...
Yeah, you don't base a preference on anything. You just like it or don't. You just prefer it over something else. There is no logic behind it that you first put together. It is you can find the logic behind your preference and understand why you have that preference, but you don't decide on a preference. You just have it.
You could argue with someone who is closed-minded, who has a preference towards a thing, and you're like, okay, I see why you like the thing, and you told me you like this XYZ. Here's another thing that also has XYZ. You might like it. And they'll be like, no, I only like my thing. I was like, okay. I can't argue with you. It's your thing. It's your subjective appreciation of whatever. And that's fine. These are the people we don't talk to anymore because there's no point. I learned that very quickly talking to fans because they'll defend their thing no matter what. So, but that's great. It's your thing. I don't care. You're a fanboy and you're happy. That's all that matters.
Preferences onto someone else's doesn't make you cool. It just lets everyone know you have an unwashed ass.
What does that mean? I don't... Is this guy angry at arguing with people and they can't understand your intellectual superiority? And you're like, oh... All these people understand my genius. They're a bunch of assholes. Okay.
I think he's
That's it for this video.
Arguing with 13-year-olds on Twitter.
I don't know.
And thinks they're all adults.
This is silly.
This one.
Oh, okay.
All right. That was weird. Weird take.
It was just random rambling.
He had some examples I liked when he brought up like quality. Like he shows, okay, this is a good example of dubbing work. He's like, yeah, you're right. Those are good examples. It's a very high quality production. And then not addressing why and how it works the way it does. As opposed to...
He's a strange man.
I am tired of these made up arguments and claims that there's all these extremists everywhere.
This is good.
Let's complain about the Phantom people that we all think are cringe. If we all think they're cringe, then who actually has these opinions?
Him. And I will take my leave. It's rather late here.
All right.
Have a good night.
See you, man. All right. I'll just zip right through these memes. Oh my god, I'm not going to read all this.
Which ones are you at?
I'm at the one with King Dedede, and he's like, I need a monster to clobber that there Kirby.
It's just the dialogue. It's like you have the dub, then you have the translation, then you have this thing, and just the simplest form of it, which is just kill curb.
Yeah. You're just reducing everything to the message. Oh, what's this? Oh. Japan and America are the tightest BFFs. Oh, boy. Poor Oppenheimer. Japan before World War II. No. Japan after World War II. It's called hentai, and it's art. Yes. Oppenheimer created anime. Sonic X Dr. Eggman eats a banana. Do I want to press play?
Press play.
I was just about to consume this delicious banana. Tasty.
Whoa. That was weird. I am a flaming
Moltres.
Moltres. All right. That outfit, where'd you get it? I think that costume came right out of his closet. Har har. Oh god. What?
That is real.
What?
No blades, no knives allowed in the German version.
No knives?
Yeah.
What kunai?
Just over on rods.
Yeah, no weapons allowed.
So when they
there's a sharp edge, it can't be shown.
So when they throw kunai at each other, what happens? They cut the entire scene of throwing the knives at each other?
Yeah. German Naruto episodes are several minutes shorter.
That's amazing.
It's completely incomprehensible, which is why German parents think anime is complete insane nonsense that makes absolutely no sense at all, because these cut-up versions, whatever you think of the original anime, these cut-up versions, they really don't make any sense.
You can't have
the German
knives.
version of Princess Mononoke is I think 20 minutes shorter.
What?
This makes no sense. What happens at the end? You don't understand what is going on. Why are there humans shooting things? And what are they shooting at? The things are exploding. Why?
Wait, they censored the blades, but did they censor the sound? What's his face? Gara there drowning someone in sand. That's better.
I didn't watch that long, Mike. This is 20 years ago. Mike, this anime is almost a quarter century old.
This is amazing. Like, look at this. Like, I can't believe that. What is happening? He's gonna swing with invisible rope. Like, what is?
That is German censorship. You'll get it. You'll get it soon too. You have the same fucking insane people.
Well,
you just started with censoring the sex. We started with censoring the violence, but soon we both get each other's.
Luckily,
on top.
Luckily, Canadian federal government is going away. Hopefully, going away next election. We're getting the Conservatives coming in. If all polls make sense, but wow, that's. Oh, another. Should Donald Trump don't trust China? Okay, we're not going to play that. What if I told you Japanese voice acting in anime is just as bad as English dubs? It just sounds better to you since you don't know the language. No, I think it's Japanese created anime. They know what they're doing. They know how to make it sound good. Doesn't matter what language. I was thinking about calling you a monster, but I didn't want to insult the cards. Oh my god. This is an actual line in a dub, and I love it. Yeah, he says some really cheesy things about the cards. Naruto German opening. I will.
It's called the German opening, but it's all in English.
Don't click on it.
I will watch
Why
it.
even call it German?
Please don't click on it.
I will watch it later by myself. Thank you very much. Oh my god.
You can all watch it if you're in the server.
My friend that works at Lockheed Martin had a group of Japanese defense representatives touring the plant. On lunch, he heard them arguing over whether King of the Hill is better subbed or dubbed. One even said Japanese doesn't express the essence of the characters like English does. This basically confirms that King of the Hill is in fact Texas anime.
Ah. Beautiful.
And
a hero.
They take a scene from freaking Neon Genesis and put it on top of...
It's Peggy in place of...
Is that Peggy?
Oscar?
Oh. Oh dear. Me, whatever I'm watching, subtitles. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, holy shit. Yeah, that was great. I like that one. Anime character speaks English. New anime fan. No way. Somebody stop him. Veteran anime fan. You get used to it. King Dedede is my spirit animal. Your Majesty, you look like you're in a good mood. Oh, okay. Sub is better than dub. If those kids could read, they'd be very upset. Watch accidentally admitted to watch anime and dub all weebs around you. Look at him and laugh. Okay. The dub is versus sub war doesn't really matter. You should watch anime how you and then someone screams. Sub is the only way, must not taint the original work. And then okay. Oh god, this the same thing. It's over and over again. Japanese otaku, everyone else. Where's the sub version? Oh.
I had to put it in today. Today is 9/11 day, and to subvert your expectations. Here's go attack Britain now. Here.
I thought it's Hawk Special Enjoyment Day.
Yeah, I thought Hawk would have made this. He posted this.
Hawk's not here. I'm the substitute.
All right.
So instead, here's a second bus.
Yeah, this guy's video is kind of weird.
It was weak, and it did not follow his title.
Well, that's all the frickin' videos we watched. The title is almost irrelevant to these people.
Really? We had exceptions, but I didn't keep track.
We had a guy a few weeks ago who did a positive video. What the hell was the topic about? I can't remember, but we really liked it. And we were all like, wow, this is a good video. Smart, intelligent, referential. Everything's good.
And I thought about suggesting the Mad Pet Pizza video, but it's too short to buffer with.
No, you gotta double decker it then. You gotta double deck those.
Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in for Anime Day. That was indeed an anime themed video. Don't think we learned anything outside this guy was rambling for a good 15 minutes with some references to good animes with good dubs. And I think the conclusion the thought I had originally was the same. It hasn't changed. That it comes down to the director, the quality of the dub, meaning the people involved, and whether they understand the source material to make it sound appropriate in whatever language they're dubbing for. nothing to do with the inherent weirdness of anime. That a kid crying while running at a train, saying he loves someone, that can be done dozens of ways, and it can sound good in some of them. So, anyway, thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have yourself a good day. Good night.
Good night.